Now, when we were senior students, the hospital had a lot of subsidiary outpatient clinics, and it had a big outpatient clinic in Birmingham. I don't remember actually the name of the street, but we went there, and we also went as nurses to outpatient clinics in various subsidiary parts of Birmingham, so that patients didn't have to spend hours getting on buses and things like that when they were in plasters and calipers and on crutches, etc. As nurses, we went out and we redid plasters and things. As physiotherapy students, we also did that, and exercises, actually physiotherapy treatments. And in Birmingham, in the outpatients department, we did ordinary outpatients. Up at the hospital, we didn't really have outpatient treatments. It was all inpatients, and we had a department that had been tacked on to the hospital that was, it had a gymnasium and it had a pool and it had an electrotherapy department. And a lot of the people that, when I was there, we had patients that had had polio, and in those days polios went to fever hospital, and when they got to us, they had terrible deformities, terrible wasting. I wouldn't say that they wouldn't have had wasting if they'd come to us early, but they wouldn't have had the awful deformities that they had. And it was very, very sad seeing some of the people, and I can think of one woman that came to us from Fever Hospital. Oh, before that, I was worldly wise as a young girl. I had a very sensible mother, but I was also very innocent. We were expecting two women in from Fever Hospital, and we knew one of them was pregnant, you see. And I was taking the history of one of them, and she gave me her history, and she was Mrs. So-and-so, and I came to the other one, you see, and I said, I took her information, and I said, and you're pregnant? And she said, and she said, yes, I was pregnant. And I said, but you're not married. Terrible thing to say, but you know, that was the sort of that was the sort of thing that sometimes you did say. But another woman that was pregnant, and she had a TB spine, I think, and of course couldn't be nursed in the normal, we're supposed to be talking about physiotherapy, she couldn't be nursed in the normal way because of her increasing girth, but we coped with her. I can think of one little girl, she was about 2 or 3, 2 probably, because she was standing and she was walking, and she was in a double aeroplane splint, both arms up at right angles, both arms were severely paralysed, and she was very, very good at picking pockets with her toes, very good at picking pockets with her toes and playing with her toes. I don't know how she ended up, but I'm thinking of another little boy that was in that area, that she was while I was a physio, that little girl, and another little boy in the same ward when I was a physio. He had 2 paralysed legs and arms not too bad, and he was in double calipers and crutches, and he was about 3. Well, getting him to walk was killing, because you did right leg, right crutch, left crutch, right leg, right crutch, left crutch, right leg. Well, I made him a sort of pair of knickers that went over my back to take some of the weight of his body. And I don't remember how many days we had been doing right leg, right crutch, left crutch, right leg. But I was talking to somebody, and suddenly he took off. He was walking by himself in his crutches with his calipers, so I took him out of his knickers that were round my back. You know, those sort of things were wonderful. And another little girl, very, very badly paralysed, a very ardent little Roman Catholic, and her street had a collection so that she could go to Lourdes. Her street had a collection so that she could go to Lourdes. And she knew she was going to be cured. We knew she wasn't going to be, but she went and she came back. She was about 8 or 9. And she came back and she said, well, God hasn't cured me. But she said, I can understand. I can know what I've got to do to help myself. That always affected me very much. She was a rather difficult child to begin with, who wouldn't be severely paralysed. And she understood what she had to make the best of what she'd got after that. And another polio that affected me very much, and I've always remembered, she'd been married in the war, and she was married with a Woolworths wedding ring, and her husband went off, and when he came back, she was very severely paralysed. And when she was well enough, she had a proper marriage with a proper wedding ring and a wedding cake, and she choked and died on a currant from the wedding cake. Those sort of things don't happen today, because people, their respirations and things, you know, they're better than... I'm going to fiddle. Her respirations were very poor, and of course inhaling a currant, that was the end of her. But she'd had her wedding. She'd had a lovely, happy day, and her husband, although he'd lost his wife, his husband was very pleased that they'd had such a happy time before she did die. How he would have coped with her at home, I wouldn't know, because there was very little in the way of home help in those days.